Dear colleagues, this week we're speaking about social and emotional learning. This integral part of education is becoming more and more vital. I would like to dig deeper and learn from people in the fields. Therefore, I am very excited to introduce Valentina Gavranović. Hello, Valentina, nice to see you.
Hello, Liudmyla. Nice to see you too, and thank you for having me here with you.
Valentina holds a PhD in historical linguistics and works as an assistant professor at the English Language Studies program at Singidunum University in Belgrade, Serbia. As an English language teacher and teacher trainer with over 20 years of experience, she has been working with teenagers, university students, and adults. She has been actively involved in various professional programs and projects with the aim to promote the quality of English language teaching. As a Fulbright scholar, she participated in the Fulbright Teaching Excellence and Achievement Program and spent 2 months at Kent State University together with me. She teaches undergraduate and postgraduate courses, and her current research interests include applied linguistics, contemporary approaches to teaching, humanistic approaches to teaching, and microlinguistics. Today, Valentina is here to speak about social and emotional learning. And here is my first question. What does social and emotional learning include? What are its main premises and assumptions?
Social and emotional learning is a fundamental part of human growth. It's a process of acquiring and applying knowledge and attitudes in developing healthy identities, emotional and social well being, as well as various skills and competences. When we talk about the aim of this type of learning, it aims at a holistic approach to child development. One of the main aims of social and emotional learning is to improve students' capacity to establish and maintain healthy relationships. Now, I would like to say something about the history of social and emotional learning, and it stems from humanistic approach to teaching. Humanistic approach to education has attracted a lot of attention since 1970s, and it developed as a reaction to dehumanizing practices in education that were very present at the time. And they included mechanized teaching and learning, viewing a student as a number, not as a whole person. Students are also passive learners, and the ways that some techniques were used were rather unnatural, and it was a natural way of acquiring knowledge. What is now emphasized in humanistic approach to teaching are the effective aspects of learning, which are as important as intellectual ones. And a learner is viewed as a whole person, characterized not only by intellectual characteristics but also by emotional and social properties. And therefore, social emotional learning implies the main premise of Vygotsky's sociocultural theory that emphasizes the importance of social interaction while learning.
Thanks a lot for such a detailed answer. Valentina, and why is social and emotional learning so important?
Promoting social emotional learning and organizing teaching practices that support it is very important. Social emotional learning makes learning purposeful and meaningful for students. They are given the chance to explore, to discover by themselves, and lessons that promote this type of learning lead towards the reduction of anxiety, stress, and in this way we can improve our students' social behavior. This type of learning also gives a learner the feeling that he or she is successful, not only as a learner, but as a human being, and therefore it provides a foundation for positive long-term effects on kids, adults, and community in general, in a broader sense. People with strong social emotional skills benefit academically, professionally, but also personally and socially, and they can cope better with everyday challenges. There is a body of research conducted in the United States of America that proves the benefits of social emotional learning, namely graduation rates went up, suspension, detention, and dropouts went down, and also attendance was higher. And it is well known that attendance is closely related to academic achievement of our students. Therefore, undoubtedly, social emotional learning and promoting it, organizing teaching practices that promote this type of learning is really important, especially in the 21st century.
Well, I couldn't agree more. Let's move on to the next question. What are the core social and emotional competences?
Well, by promoting social and emotional learning, we also help our students develop some very important competences, and we call them core social and emotional competencies. They include self awareness, self management, responsible decision making, social awareness, and relationship skills. Now, I will briefly say something about each of these competencies. In the first place, self awareness is a very important competence to develop. It means that we are able to understand ourselves, our own emotions, thoughts, values, experiences. And after the first step of understanding, the second step is what all these aspects, what type of influence they have on our actions. So, by improving our self awareness, we can more effectively identify our strengths and our weaknesses, something that's really crucial in developing our whole being. Another competence that is very important when we talk about social emotional competences is self management. Self management competence implies the ability to control emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. And it means that we can improve our self discipline, we can manage stress, we can develop organizational skills and ability to set realistic goals. Now, closely related to this competence is the next competence, and it's about decision making. And it's about responsible decision making. And it means that we make constructive choices which are based on some arguments, on some valid aspects. And we need to take into consideration when we make responsible decision choices, it means that we have valid arguments, we make constructive choices, and we also take into consideration possible consequences. So it's a very important competence to develop among ourselves and in our students. Another one is relationship skills. Relationship skills, it means that we have the competence, ability to establish and maintain healthy relationships and connections with other people, not only at personal level, but also at professional level. And finally, social awareness. Social awareness implies empathy, awareness of differences, and awareness of what it means to be fair and how to treat people in a fair manner. Closely related to social awareness and relationship skills is one skill that I would like to emphasize here, and this is a listening skill. Somehow, I have my personal opinion that somehow we tend to lose these listening skills, and by organizing lessons, activities that encourage our students to listen carefully, we can make them more aware of all other people, and then aware of themselves. So somehow these listening skills can improve and lead to the development of all these social emotional competencies.
Now I see that all social emotional competences are important. Thank you. And how can we support English learners' social and emotional learning? Tell me, please, about your experience.
Yes, now we come to the role of the teacher, and teachers have the key role in supporting social and emotional learning. In the first place, we can support social and emotional learning by creating positive learning environment wherein a student feels safe, comfortable, and appreciated by his or her peers and the teacher. And there are various aspects we need to take into consideration if we want to promote social and emotional learning. In the first place, as I have just mentioned, is creating positive environment, safe environment for the students. And then the next step is getting to know our students well. And it means to know their needs, their interests, previous knowledge, learning styles, and abilities. And then classroom management is vital for developing this type of learning because grouping students, how we make groups, how we manage to get them into collaboration and cooperation is really important. And in this way, we develop their social skills. And finally, the tasks that the teacher creates and involves the students in are also vital for establishing a good atmosphere for promoting social and emotional learning, because these tasks need to be first with the aim set to serve the purpose of the lesson, but also they need to be meaningful for the students. And now we get back to the previous notion of dehumanizing practices of teaching in education, where students learn in unnatural ways. So the tasks that we create for our students need to be meaningful, purposeful for them. They see their real value. Even when they leave the classroom, they can use these skills and knowledge outside of it. So it has the real purpose. And definitely tasks should be motivating and engaging for our students. Important aspects for any long-term learning and effects of it.
Valentina, thanks a lot for your tips. They are really useful. And I have one more question for you. How does social emotional learning framework fit into formal testing?
Well, yes. Now we come to one of the most challenging aspects in teaching, and this is testing. And one of the biggest challenges teachers face is preparing students for formal testing. Now, on the one hand, we are instructed to promote communicative approach to teaching, to organize lessons according to our students' needs, their interests, to be motivating, engaging. And then, on the other hand, we are expected to prepare students to successfully pass uniform tests that are the same for everyone. Now, on the one hand, we have individual approach to teaching, and then we are faced with this uniform way of testing. Well, even though these two directions might seem a little bit contradictory and hard to reconcile, the research has shown that social emotional learning can improve test scores. How? Well, by adopting the main principles of social emotional learning and creating classes that support the development of the core competencies, we can strengthen our students' skills to undertake these tests successfully. So, we are expected to view and apply assessment in a positive way. This is important because language learners experience some kind of weaknesses in the foreign language they learn, and therefore, one of the main tasks of language instructor is to motivate learners by focusing on what they are good at and then scaffolding what needs to be improved. So, if we take into consideration all the aspects of social emotional learning, we support the development of all these competencies, and by supporting these competencies, developing these competencies, we strengthen our students to cope with something that is called formal testing. They are more aware, self-aware of their weaknesses. They are more aware of their strengths, and therefore they get more confidence to take the task. They are more aware of other aspects that surround them. So all these competencies, if we develop them properly, will contribute to better test score results. And as I have mentioned, again, the research has shown that students who have developed social emotional competencies cope better with these formal tests.
I appreciate your full answer. Now I have a clearer picture of the topic. I hope our colleagues enjoyed our conversation as well as learned something new and useful. I cannot express how grateful I am to have an interview with you, Valentina. Thank you very much for your expertise.
Yeah. Well, I'm grateful that you have identified such an important topic that needs more attention in education. And thank you so much for inviting me to talk about it. I really like the topic. And I also hope that each of us can make a small difference in education by adopting the main tenets of social and emotional learning in our teaching practices. Okay, thank you once again and hope to see you soon.